Mm-hmm.
Like
my wife once got an Italian cookbook, and we're like, oh, okay. This is fun. And she opened up the spaghetti sauce and she's looking at the ingredients, onions. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's weird. And then it got to adding ketchup. And she was like, do you think the paper shredder would take this? Do you think we could just shove the whole thing? Would it jam it? Do you think? Would it?
I think too with the with accents that white people can do other white people's accents, and you don't get skewered for it. Mm-hmm. And I feel, so you can do Scottish, you can do Irish, you can do British, you can do, you can do Italian, you can do, and this is the other thing, right? So it's like, can you do a Greek accent? Is that white enough? Can you do, but the minute you cross a very specific, so like if I were to attempt an East Indian accent, I would cringe myself because in my head, I'm going like, Heather? No.
Yeah. No, stop poking the bear.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing, right? But I cannot do the Italian because that's a fantastic thing.
That's racist.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
So, but I do believe it's because you're doing another white person's accent. So you still may be, and David, my husband, called me on this. He says, you use the term white trash way too much. I'm like, oh, okay, but what if they are white trash, right? But because that gives you a very specific, right?
Okay. I have to correct you here. You cannot use white trash. The correct term is cousin fucker. Please.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Please.
Dude, There's that. But so if you're talking like you're from the deep South, that's okay. Yeah. I can talk like I'm from the South. Mm-hmm. I can drawl, and I'm not going to have somebody who's then like, oh, you're being racist.
Yeah, but you got like when I was coming up, Italians weren't white. Greeks were nowhere near that line. Right. So and maybe that's just me, when I hear someone that's not a white person, that's not like, I have trouble kind of thinking of Italians as white folk. And when I hear like someone really white trying to do an Italian accent, it always comes off as insulting to me.
It's funny because like what you just said is so true. It's hard to imagine now, but in Toronto, back in the day, if you were Greek or if you were Italian, people would throw stones at you, people would insult you walking down the street and all that stuff. And if you were a descendant of an American slave who came up through slavery through the Underground Railroad, you'd be treated with more respect than an Italian or a Greek person. And I know it's a really revolutionary thing to say, but it is absolutely true.
No,
Dude,
it's not.
It is absolutely true.
No, it's not.
You may not believe. I know you don't want to believe this because Black people. Like,
I experienced it, so please,
dude,
don't tell me my experience.
No. I'm talking about
talking in the 50s, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about not just the 50s, like 1902.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like during
what was that like, Lewis?
Yeah, exactly, Lewis. Like, how was life as a Black person?
I gotta tell you about your great grandmother. Like, man, I do not know how you exist, knowing what trash that woman was.
And you know what? And here's the thing,
cousin fucker.
Before we get to like Todd hating white people and me loving white people, I wanted to say that discrimination and racism and all that stuff and bigotry is actually really complex. There's so many layers to it, and it's so complicated because of the stuff you're talking about. Like, what accent am I allowed to do as a white female, middle class, whatever? What am I accent? And two, like, same with me. Like, it's the same thing with me as a Black kid growing up in Ottawa. What accents am I allowed to do?
And you do not want to see me do a Jamaican or a Caribbean accent. I will butcher the shit out of that.
But also, too, to add to this, here's the thing that we don't understand. Because we are born in Canada. We don't get it. But in England, the British upper classes see the royal family as foreigners. You see the British upper class.
Yes, because they're German.
They're German.
Yeah.
They're foreign blood. And we don't get that. We don't understand the class system in Britain. So there's a real complexity to it.
Well,
and
ultimately,
I just think,
in Canada too, like we have, so, our class system, God, probably until the 80s, was very, so our prejudice often was against Quebecers, right? So if you were French Canadian, you were fucked. You were absolutely fucked in Canada. And you know, that's just a language barrier, right? So and I maintain that as long as there are two fucking people on this world, one is going to hit the other one in the head with a rock at one point, right? Like that's just the thing, right? Like there's always going to be some sort of a conflict. Now, whether or not the issue is that generally people like Todd and people like me have not had that much conflict in our lives. We haven't. I've had more than Todd has. Yeah, but this is the thing, right? Whereas if you're Black, if you're Jewish, if you're Italian, if you're Greek, if you're the Tutsis and the Hutus, like this is there is all a huge, like you think of it as people are people, except unless you're the wrong shade or the wrong language.
Yeah, the only place I disagree with you on that though is personal, the experience of personal trauma and personal events in someone's life. Like I've run up on all kinds of white folk that have had so much horror in their lives compared to me. So yes, there is systemic, but that doesn't mean we can completely deny the personal.
Oh, for sure. And I'm not saying that for like my personal experience, and because I was, doing a prequel of this with my husband David yesterday, and we started chatting about actors of color and how and
you were
when they
prepping
get performances. No, because it was just I just started reading. I just started reading, and
you
I was
prep. Wait a second, Louis, you don't really?
I was reading this, is that there was this thing on like a voice actors 1-2-3 voice or something, and there was an Afrikaans voice actor who had this statement that he's like, apartheid ended 25 years ago. We've moved on. This Afrikaans. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking kidding me? And not only that, so that he could basically apply, and he's got a very Afrikaans name. So he has a pseudonym when his agents pitch his reel for being Black or Indian, or he has a pseudonym, which in my mind, I'm like, oh my God. Whereas you've got a Black actor who's talking about, he says, I get the Black parts. Even though I can do other parts, I'm told I get to do the Black parts. Even though, Hank Azaria can do however many, and Harry Shearer, and, they're going to do 16 or 20. And if you're a person of color, you're going to be able to go out for that one Black role on a video game or an animated film, as opposed to some white guy like Mel Blanc, who can do every voice in the world, who then does every voice.